Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti, and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school, no easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running. 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who, without Mrs. B, might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
This is the reason why I do what I do, is because of Yolanda and all the...
Good morning, and good morning. Welcome to Barbara Beckley Show. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I am Barbara Beckley, but no, welcome to Expanding Your Impact Show with Barbara Beckley. I want to wish you a happy Thursday. We're almost at the stretch. Well, some people say we're almost there to Friday. And I keep telling people, live your best life every day. Stop looking for sad Mondays and happy Fridays. You're cutting every other day out. And then the days that you said the sad, you're cutting that out. So I tell people, live every minute. And you know what? We should be learning that. We should really have like a reminder of that, of what's been going on for the last 2 years and a half. I mean, I can't believe we're almost going to the third year of the COVID. I say it low because I don't want to give it any power. See, I always tell people words are powerful when you put it out in the universe. And when you start just keep saying over and again, oh, this COVID, oh, here's another strand, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, be quiet. I want to tell people so bad, just say something positive. Let's put some other words out there. And then just maybe when you think about it, if you keep doing that, the COVID might just take care of itself and just do what it needs to do. And don't touch us. I mean, don't really deal with us too much anymore. It will probably die down. Okay. But that's just an example of, using your words in a powerful, positive way. But I want to thank everybody for coming, the audience today. I'm excited because I love bringing on some very powerful, impactful, influence people on the show. Now, as you know, I come 6 days out the week. Yes, I have 6 shows out the week. Now, mind you, I have to give credit where credit's due here. I have other experts on certain days that come on, so really I have a show that's kind of maybe 3 times out. My own show under the network that I come on. But the whole network is Diamond Factor Experience Network. I want to thank everybody for supporting. It's been a year and a half now, and this is what really got me excited this morning when I woke up. Usually every month I get the numbers of the viewers that see, because we're on the platform E360 TV. And they stream like 7 different other TV streamers. So they help me out. They help me get the word out. They help me get the guests out, their visibility and everything. We have over 30,000 viewers that are watching every month. Can you believe that? 30,000. I was just kind of happy just to hear, okay, Barbara, you might have maybe, 50, 100 or something. I was like, 30,000. I said, is that right? Is that the right, right? Did you put the right comma where the number is? And then they're like, yeah, Barbara, yeah, you're good. I said, oh my God. And, it wasn't so much because, some people get all caught up in their ego, like, oh, I have 30,000 viewers and I'm just, spectacular. It wasn't even that for me. I was thinking of the fact that there's 30,000 viewers showing up to see the people that I bring on and what they do in the world. That just to me is awesome. So I feel like I'm just a vessel to bring in the people that are doing what they're, I know sometimes people say, Barbara, you're an influencer, you speak, you write and stuff. So don't put yourself to the side. No, I'm not. But see, you have to understand my mission. See, my mission is included in this. So my mission is to make sure, first of all, people are doing their purpose in life, that are really doing their purpose. We only live this one life. So if we're just living this one life, live it purposeful. Live it the way you want. Live it the way you think and you dream about. And don't stop dreaming so much. Sometimes just do reality. And then after I do that, I tell people, okay, let's get you visible so people can see what you do. Because everybody has those special gifts in them. So people need to know your gifts because you don't know who lives you can save from what you do. So that's my purpose, to show people to show up. So that's why I created the show. That's why, I do what I do. I bring in the experts. I bring in the guests. And when I heard 30,000 people are watching, I'm like, there's just more people I can bring in so they can see the love from other people. So that's what I get excited about. Not so much about, okay, I got a show with 30,000. And it's just proof fact that when you do things, despite about what you're doing, like if you look at things in a sense where it's not really about you, but it's about the people that you're trying to help, things start to come really, really and more in your orbit, I say, in your universe. So just think about that. Don't look so much about, okay, I need everything I need to get, because guess what? The universe is going to take care of you. They got your back. So if you do what you need to do and help others and stretch out those arms and show the love and show the courtesy and the respect for other people, believe me, you will be set. You will be set. So I want to leave, I always try to give you some encouragement, some kind of passage before I go with my wonderful queen. So we're going to have a queen. Yes, we have royalty in the house. Miss Jane, she's going to come on in a second here. But I want to, like, always give you something to think about, because words, what did I say earlier? Words are powerful. And sometimes we wake up in the morning thinking of negative stuff. Automatically, it seemed like we just all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm tired. Oh, what's going to be today? Oh, it looks like it's raining. Oh, I don't have enough food. What kind of food? I mean, and the list goes on. And I keep telling myself, why can't we wake up with something like, oh, this is a wonderful day. Oh, I can walk. Oh, I have hands. I can hear. I can see. Thank you so much. There's things like that we need to start, waking up to. So here's something, just a thought. Allow yourself the self-assurance to shine. When you allow your confidence to speak for you, it will free you of the need to prove yourself. If you are struggling in a lack of self-confidence, you may become demanding. Though cultivating confidence, you will feel less of a need to be aggressive. Instead of your self-confidence will assist you to feel better about yourself. All about that confidence. The better you feel about yourself, the better other people will respond to your ideas, opinions, and proposals. Today, let your confidence speak for you. Feel good about yourself. It starts here. I always say that. Everything starts here. Love, confidence, belief, purpose, everything starts here. Now, people use, the mindset. They say, okay, yeah, that mindset. Yeah, you got to have the mindset, but guess what? I always add something to the mindset. So you got the heart set too. So you got the mindset and the heart set, and they all clicking together. Then that self-confidence, everything else will just flow automatically, because you're not just thinking about it when you've got the mindset only, but you have it in your heart, in your soul, in your spirit. So with that, I really, like I said, I like to leave just something, a little thing to think about. Now that I did all about that, okay, we're done with that part. Now we got to bring in the treasure. We got to bring in the gift today, right? So we have Mrs. Jane. She's the queen. Now, I call all my ladies queens. They're royalty. So we're going to treat them like royalty, right? So that means that when you listen to this conversation, because usually I tell people, these are not interviews, I like to say. We're having conversations, because I want you to get to know them. I want you to get to know the men and women I bring on, so you can start building that relationship and getting to know who they are. And eventually you might turn around and say, you know what? I think I want to reach out to Jane. What she was talking about is really good. So she deals with past life regressionists. She's a speaker and an author, and she explores your past lives. And when I seen that, I was reading about it, I was like, ooh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. So we're going to really get down to know Jane. But before I bring her on, it's just like, I'm not going to sit there and say, here she is. Voila. No, we have to make sure we do royalty the right way. So here she comes. Hello, lady.
Hello, thank you for inviting me today. I'm so delighted to be here.
Oh, you're talking about delighted. I am so thankful for you, lady. And I just want to say, just right out before we even start the conversation, so people get to know who you are. You have been just a gift to me. We met online. I think we met through another person I was interviewing. I think it was Lisa Williams. And then you reached out and I said, yes, I want you on the show. And then you just said, okay, give me, I told you I'll give you the promo banner, and you have been promoting the show like crazy. So thank you, lady, because I want everybody to see the gifts and the influence that you have in the world. So I'm just loving it. I'm just loving it. So thank you so much for that gift, because like I tell people, you're just showing the example of getting out there and making sure that you're visible and people get to know you. So wonderful. So I want to ask you first, Jane, where are you now? Are you from the UK?
Yeah, I'm from the UK. I'm right in the centre of the UK, furthest away from any beach. So I'm in Derbyshire. Yeah.
Oh, wow. See, every time I ask people where they're from, and then I'm like, we're global. Every time I hear it's outside the United States, I'm like, yay, I'm global. I'm global. So thank you so much for coming. I know. So what time is it out there your way?
It is now 20 minutes past 2 in the
Is it?
afternoon.
Oh, oof. I'm about to say, if you're going to tell me 2 a.m, I'm like, okay, now this is dedication. I mean, this is like to the utmost dedication if you're coming on.
I work all hours because I work via Zoom. I can be in Australia, New Zealand. I can be anywhere. It really all depends.
See, that's what I'm saying about being being that influencer, because you're like me. It's like, okay, up morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it takes.
Well, I figure if they've chosen you, then you need to make the effort. If it's your vocation and it's what you do, then do it right.
Definitely. So we're just gonna, I just want to just dig in, Jane, because I want, with the time that we have together and the audience that's looking now, I want to make sure that they really understand, what you do and what you do for others and for the world too. Because like I tell people, if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, author, anything, you are producing things for people to learn from. You're helping them grow, you're helping them learn, and you're giving yourself out there to people. So before we start with what you do, I always ask people, what is the backstory? Like, how did you start off by becoming what you are now, and what made you get to that point? So if you could just give a little take of that.
Okay. Well, as normal with a lot of spirituality, you tend to have a situation where there is a wake up call, and I was on my spiritual path, going to various courses, doing various things, enjoying my life. But I was also an extreme sports person. And so at weekends, you'd find me rock climbing, caving, skiing, horse riding, diving, abseiling. That was the extreme side of me. Just a bit of an adrenaline junkie, really.
Mhm.
And it was one particular August bank holiday that I thought, not far from us is the Peak District. It's one of our national parks, very rocky, beautiful, beautiful. And I thought, well, I'm going to go up there this weekend. I'm on my own. And as I got to Cat's Tor, is what it's called, it was an extreme sport. I was base jumping off the side of the cliffs, going up into the thermals with my camera, taking photographs of the landscape down below. And by sheer fluke, my emergency chute at 1,000 foot deployed and went that way, really breaking my ribs because I was sort of a 7 stone wet through girl at that time. And as I looked to check my emergency chute that had opened up, obviously accidentally, I also saw the wind change and the thermal brought the parachute towards my main parachute, and it just went straight up. And I just looked up and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die. And I can tell you, Barbara, within that split second, and 1,000 foot in 6 seconds, that's what happened. From 1,000 foot, 6 seconds, I would hit the floor. And you know what they say in the movies where everything is sort of fragmented and it's really slow?
Yes.
Well, that's true, but it's also at the same time very fast. And I hit the ground extremely hard. I mean, there's about that much moss and the rest is just rocks. I broke most of my bones. I crushed my lower spine. I broke my neck in 2 places. And I was just a bruised pulp of mess, really. And to cut a long story short, they said that I would be paralyzed for life. I was so damaged. and I'd never walk again. So there I am in this hospital, in this body that does not work. And I had my eyes and my ears looking at the ceiling, and that was all I had. And I can remember thinking, my God, I'm in this dead vessel. I'm going to rattle round the rest of my life in this dead vessel. But I chose not to believe that. But there were times when I just couldn't cope. You know, one shock trauma and the mental aspect of, yeah, I could just talk and look at the ceiling. That was it. And so there were times when I would just say to myself, I want to get out. I want to get out. And before I knew it, I was then looking down in this room at me. And I thought, wow, this is freaky. This is what I asked for. And the next minute, I'm in the corner of the room looking down at me. So I quickly shot back in my body, and then I practiced, and I got in and out and in and out. And then I started to travel. And at first I thought that I was hallucinating. But I had these dreams, and some of the dreams were, I knew it was me, even though it was a male that I was dreaming about, but I kind of knew it was me. And I could see all these challenges that I was working on. And I also was able to view the body, you know, the etheric body. I've got a little sample here, like this. Yeah.
Okay.
And these are different. The colours represent different emotions. And I could see different emotions in different characters that I was. So I started to focus the mind and concentrate on lifting it, healing it. And I thought, hey, that works. And obviously it was all a dream. But it came to a head when I had a hypnotherapist come to see me about post-traumatic stress, because obviously falling 1,000 foot in 6 seconds is pretty dramatic.
Yes.
But I jokingly said to them, while you're doing all that stuff that you do, you wouldn't sort out these crazy dreams, because I think this morphine's taking me up with the fairies, you know? And I kind of joked about it. So we did the post-traumatic stress, and he got to the dreams. And I said to my friend, who was a clinical hypnotherapist at the hospital, you don't need to worry about that, you know? I'm just tidying up my past lives, ready for my next job. So when I came to, and I'm laying there and I'm thinking, what?
Yeah.
I'm tidying up my past lives for my next job. I can't even turn my neck. Everything was in cast. So I got a laptop. Obviously I didn't. I got a lot of help. I got a laptop on some Velcros tilted on my bed, because I like evidence. My degree's in law. So everything for me was,
You have to see
I need evidence. I need to know what's cracking off here. So I'd started to study. And I think actually, had I not sat still and focused the mind and started to study, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, because I'd have just been busy with my life, getting on with things, you know. And I started to study, and I got to know all about Socrates. I got to know about the Vikings and how they conjure up their ancestors, and the Romans, and how they use sleep tanks. And then you get a little bit closer to us, and there's Dr. Macaulay, and I think it was 1920. He actually had the belief, even then, that if you do not express your tears in fears, and what he means is, if you don't let go, if you do not express your tears in fears, they will seep into your organs. And we've all heard of people that have got a heavy heart or are carrying too much, and it fits.
A heavy load.
And I'm sure you've heard, I started at the end and I'm coming a bit closer up to date, Dr. Weiss and Michael Newton. So I studied everything, and I did a lot of practice. I got quite a few qualifications over it, and I made it my vocation, because I began to go into dreams of me as different people and look at me like this and begin to heal all the traumas, the emotions that I was carrying. So
Mm.
that's how it all started. And then I thought, well, there's nothing unique about me. There's loads of people carrying all sorts of stuff. I wonder if I could help those. So that's what I do.
Wow, that's a huge awareness of really like a self, like just an outer body healing of yourself. I mean, that's what it sounds like. And then first of all, I'm just so glad that you're here because like you said, it was stated to you that you would never basically
I'd never walk again.
walk again.
Yeah.
And now you're walking, you're moving, you're doing your thing and you're helping others really find out how to. Now, is that when you did, because it sounds like when you said past life regressionists, because I know that's what you do to help people. Does that help people, like if people are dealing with certain kind of health issues, or this is just any type
No,
of.
yeah. And the reason that I use past life regression is because you can go into a really, really deep state. And past life regression is only part of the story as to how I work, because that story is great. I want a past life that's relevant to the cycle events that's going on in this life. I want to know how we can help this life. And so I always ask, unless they specifically want to go to a particular life, I always ask for a life that's relevant today. So if you're going through a cycle of relationships or issues like that, chances are that you've been learning this cycle of events for quite some time. And it's surprising how you can tap into the mind, because do you know every word that you say is a blueprint that your mind, your body, and your psychic are working to make reality. So when you know that, you can pay attention to that blueprint, because your mind really doesn't know the difference from fantasy or reality. And I'll give you an example of that. I had a guy come to me. In fact, I had his girlfriend come to me separately. They just split up, and he came to me and he said, Jane, I don't know what to do. I get so far in this relationship. Every time I get so far, I've got a decent car, decent job, I've got a house, and that's it. The rug comes up and that's it. I lose the relationship after about 2-3 years. And it's all about finding out about today, what things that you're carrying. And I ask an awful lot of questions, the questions that you've put to me during the session. I don't need to know your story. But at the end, I asked him, I said, what's all this about this cycle of relationships that he's going through? And even though we had a past life, he said, oh, well, it's a past life memory. From when he was at Flanders Field in the war. He had a friend called Dave, and they were very traumatized with the war, and felt guilty that they actually came home. They lived just outside a town just outside London. And he says, and I can see myself, there's all of us, we're walking, we've just come out the pub, we've had lots to drink, and we're arguing and we're arguing. And what transpired was his best friend Dave was having an affair with his wife. So he'd got double betrayal there. And he said, we were arguing and shouting, and I just put my hand out like that, but I knocked her and she hit her head on the wall, and she was never, ever the same. And I did look after her in that life, but I vowed never, ever to love anybody so much that you could hurt them. So that blueprint at that time has stayed in that DNA. And it's like, whoa, you can go so far, you can have a little play, but you get this far, remember the last time. We just need to change the blueprint.
Okay. So, it almost sounds like, Jane, like kind of like a deja vu that you're having. And then when the deja vu happens, it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think we all experience, I know I have a few times in life where I could be moving something or doing something. All of a sudden, I remember something that was either that I knew this was going to happen or something that happened already. And I was like, wait a minute. I mean, something that was going to happen. And it was like, wait a minute, I remember this. Like,
Yeah.
back, just an example, like when I was in my 20s, I was just like just doing, just working, going to school and stuff. And then something particular, like if I walked a certain way or went down a certain road or something, I'd be like, I look back and I'm like, I've seen this before. So I didn't
Yeah.
know it was something that was going to happen or did happen.
A
And
lot of things can become familiar, and it's like we've all got this intuition. How many times have you thought of somebody and then they ring you?
yes,
No?
yeah, that happens
Um,
a few times.
and we use regression in our daily life all the time. I mean, how many times have you lost something in the house? Say your car keys, and what do? You retrace your steps to find where you've taken them. Another example would be if you go and see the doctor, what's the first thing he does? He looks through your medical history.
Mm.
Now, I don't actually interpret anything with a client. I just get them into a state where they're relaxed and they're using their subconscious mind and they can see all these images and they tell me their story.
Mm.
They tell me where they are, what they're doing, what country they're in, what year it is, how old they are. And they also tell me if there is someone in that life, like one woman the other day, she said, I'm in Germany, I'm a man, I'm a farmer with a wife and 2 children. My wife is my sister today, and the 2 children are my nieces. So you can see this cycle of events with various people, like we shouldn't have favorites, but we do. And it's probably because you've had
Yeah.
experiences and challenges with them before. But
Wow.
it's not just down to us humans. I mean, every living thing, all energy has consciousness, and
Mm.
taking it away from a human. I don't know whether you remember the Berlin Wall that lasted from 1961 to 1989. It was where West Berlin was divided from East Germany, and they built this massive wall around. Well, in the countryside, I'm going to sneeze in a minute. In the
Oh, that's okay.
countryside,
I know, but sometimes you want to come out and sometimes don't come out. I know
yeah.
that.
But in the countryside, they had all this Harris fencing and they had little mines around in the forests. So the reindeer in the forest soon got to know, don't get too close, otherwise you'll either get blown up or you'll get electrified. Yeah. Now, that Berlin Wall actually came down in 1989, and reindeers only live maximum about 15 years. So we are on the 3rd generation of reindeer. And do you know, to this day, because that was a survival technique, do not go there, and it was in their blueprint, to this day, the reindeer from one side of the forest to the other side will not cross that line where that Harris fencing was.
Because they
Yeah.
remember. Wow.
Because that is a survival technique that they needed at the time, but it doesn't serve them now. Look at what they're missing in the forests. And we do exactly the same. We will have something in a life. Let's say, for instance, you live in religious times, but you're too afraid to speak about your religion otherwise you may be persecuted. If that fear is so strong that goes into your DNA, goes into your blueprint, you will carry that on. And to bring it on into this life, it doesn't serve anymore. But what it will be doing, it will be preventing you from expressing yourself. But you don't need that anymore. We've got all these out of date little bits in our mind that we don't need anymore. We will not be persecuted if, like they say,
More.
when they throw somebody out of the castle, out of the grounds, years and years ago.
It's
Yes,
an outcast. Yeah, they have to.
You probably would die. But today, if we're sent to Coventry, we live in a different world. We'll just go and find some new friends. We'll just do something else.
It's not like you're outcast and they're saying, you're
But
out.
there are some people that will take on that. If you're sent to Coventry, let's say, they'll take it really personally and they will feel like they're going to die. They're not going to die. It doesn't happen in this world. It may have happened before. So we've got all this if you like, out-of-date stock that we've got in here in this subconscious mind. And there's so much that you can explore. And all I do is I allow you to get into a state, and then you just do all the work. You talk to me, you tell me where you are, what you're doing, how you feel, who is with you, whether they're in this life. After the life, you may go up to your soul group, see your soul family, and say, hey, my sister's in my soul family, loads of information. But what I like about it is all this is actually coming from you. You don't have to believe a word I say. I just say, where are you? Describe where you are, and you just go and tell your story. And all this is actually coming from you, which makes it more powerful, because it's not an interpretation from somebody else. And this is your intuition, your story, your power, and you keep the whole lot.
Wow. So now, Jane, I know just because I know for time, but I wanted to ask you just two quick questions. But the first question, because I want to make sure that you can expound on it, when you are when a person comes to you and you have the sessions with them, now are you hypnotizing them so it can help them really dig deep in their minds about their past lives, or like you said,
Yeah.
who they were? Or you're just taking them, you're just kind of walking them through it? Because I know you're saying that it's coming really
Well,
from
I'm a trained hypnotherapist, but hypnotherapy is actually meditation. It really all depends on what word suits. If you're in the corporate, you might call it power napping, not meditation. If you're in a circle, you might call it meditation. If you're in a different circle, you might call it trance. It's an altered state, and we all have those. Have you ever driven somewhere and thought, oh my God, how did I get here? That's an altered state. And we go in and out of these altered states all the time. But the word hypnotherapy sometimes frightens people, but we do it all the time. You can be reading your book and be so intense that you can't hear a thing around you. You could be on a train, on a bus, you can't hear a thing. That is you focusing your mind, and that's all that you do. You focus your mind on my words, and then you just open up that subconscious mind. And it's surprising. People are so powerful.
Wow. Now, do you get some people that come, to get the help that sometimes it doesn't work, or they might have to, because it may be because disbeliefs or what have you? Because, some people might not believe in certain past lives and going in and out. So do you have some people that have to?
The thing is, most of the people that come, I always say to them, do look on my YouTube channel, because I've got videos of clients under regression that are chatting away. And you can see I just ask the simplest of questions, not subliminal questions. I want the facts. I just ask a simple question. And usually by that time, they are comfortable. And I think you have to be comfortable with your therapist, because if you're on guard, you're not going to want to close your eyes. You're going to want to keep your little beady eye on them. So I think it's important for you to get comfortable with your therapist, for you to understand how they work. And the minute you understand and you feel safe, you're halfway there anyway. And I don't know many people that want to pay to go and see a therapist and decide at the same time, I'm going to pay for all of this, but I'm going to make sure it doesn't work. Because chances are, we are a last resort. They'll say, I've been to see the doctor, I've done this, I've done that. I have one guy, he's all screwed up with his muscles and everything else, can barely walk, he's not working now. And to cut a long story short, I just said in one of the questions, and your questions could be anything from relationship, health, was my cat in a past life, who are my guides, whatever. But I said, I want to know about this illness, because he'd been to the hospital and they couldn't find anything wrong with him. And he said, I'm being told that it's all psychosomatic, and it was born about because He was a defense lawyer. He was working really hard. He was working crazy hours. He was going through divorce. He had teenage children, and as you know, all teenage children hate their parents, so there's all of that. But by the way, you couldn't pick me up from here, could you? And I'll upset your day. His mother passed away, and his father was ill, all in a matter of a couple of months. And he was telling himself, and this is where you need to be careful about what you say to your mind. I can't cope with this. This is too much. I can't cope with this. And the mind was said, you know what? We're here to look after you. And you're saying you can't cope with this. So do you know what we're going to do? We're going to shut you down. And that's exactly what happened. And he stressed out so much, he twisted all his muscles.
Oh, wow.
And was contorted. And he still, walks like this. He's actually on one of my YouTube channels. When we'd finished, he actually stood up straight and walked. It was amazing. But he said, what I've done is I screwed up so tight, with so much anxiousness,
so much
anxiety and stress. And then I locked it in. And so my muscle memory is such that it's now there instead of there. So, like this. So what he's going through various exercise and stretching now, rather than looking for a medical cure. He's going more the holistic. Yeah. And we know what is wrong with us. A woman that had bipolar, she wanted to know when it all started. And she told me. And I said to her, were you kicked in the head when you were 10 by a horse? And she went, yeah, how do you know? And I said, it's on your recording. That's what you just told me. And she went, wow.
Wow.
And she told me that the horse kicked her in the head so much. She says, we've got a little nut in here, and which is actually this pineal gland that goes around here. She says, I got kicked in the head so hard that it upset the equilibrium of the fluid in the brain there. And that's where
she was getting her.
Yeah, that's how it all kick-started.
So, a lot of times, like, it's really, I mean, Jane, it's amazing how, like you said, you can walk through with them certain things that, they deal with past life, future life, and that can heal their bodies at this point in time.
Yeah, it's all about finding out how we can help this life.
Help this life to get you back on track. It's like, okay, let's get you back in motion here, because there was something that caused something, just like when you said the man that was, couldn't, move.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna have to go back and see some of your YouTube videos. That's amazing.
Well,
that's amazing.
If we look at this as a vehicle, now, if you have a car and you keep it in the garage, it's not going to get dirty. Mine is up and down the motorway. I'm going to shows every weekend. This vehicle is very busy, going in all sorts of places, and you can go to your local shop or whatever, and you can mix with energy that can get stuck to you. So every now and again, we need to do an MOT of the body. We clear out our kitchen cupboards of out-of-date stock. We go on holiday to make ourselves feel good. And there's all this outside stuff. But we never actually say, I think I'm going to spend a couple of hours with this person, and we're going to go inside and see if there's anything that I'm carrying lately that I don't need to carry. And some of the stuff might not even be yours, because if you bought it through the generation, it might even be part of your mother or your grandmother, because we know that DNA, right? We haven't had DNA all that long, really, but we do know that we carry medical ailments and etc. We also carry mental health issues through this DNA. And what is DNA? DNA is a memory. And we live on an emotional planet. I mean, we just had a full moon here. So I told my son last night, no way you're going out, you're staying in, So we live on an emotional planet, and we get pulled left and right, just like the tides in the sea.
Yes.
And sometimes we just need to rebalance that, because it really doesn't matter how academically clever we are. And even when we're stressed, we know that we should be doing certain things, but we just can't. I can't go out, I can't answer that phone, I can't do this. I know I should not eat that because I want to lose weight, and we fight with ourselves. But we just need to calm down and look inside the mind and find what triggers that.
Yes.
Because we don't really need half of the baggage that we're carrying.
You're so true. That's so, I love, that's so profound that you just said. Like you said, it's so easy for us to clean and tidy things, get things and organize stuff. But do we ever think about what we're doing with our mind?
We even give our car an MOT. We fill it full of petrol. We insure it. We make sure that it's safe. But how many MOTs a year do you give yourself? How many holidays? How many little spa days? Even if it's, you're on your own in your dressing gown, you've got a face mask on, oil in your hair, your feet in a bucket, with salt and things like that. How many times do we actually find the time to look after ourselves?
Yeah.
Because we just go, we're looking after this and that and the other. But we do need to nurture ourselves, because when you've had a past life and I ask you to step out of the body so that you can feel your awesome self, most people go, wow, I didn't realize I was so amazing, And we do an evaluation then of that life, and they say, that life, it was all about family and I did a really good job, and I'm now going back to spirit. My mother would like an angel, but an energy or the color blue, or a husband in that life taking her back to spirit. But you actually feel yourself transporting just with your mind here, there, and everywhere, knowing that you are more than this. This is just a bag of bones. It's this psyche.
Yes.
The psyche carries on, and it's more than this body. This is why my son lives at the bottom end of the country. But I will know when he's going to ring, because my psyche is like, he's going to ring in a minute, I mean, I'm sure you've had that yourself. You think about somebody in the next minute.
And then next, yeah. Or if you were about to text them, if you were about to text, they text you and they say, hey, I was like, wait a minute, I was just thinking about you. I was just about to call you.
All that information just shoots through the ether, because we were more than capable of that. But the body doesn't travel that fast, but they manage to get that connection.
Wow.
So we are more than this body.
In this body. And sometimes we don't really realize that, Jane. And I'm loving how we're walking through this, because we don't take that time. This mind is really powerful. We sometimes we don't look at it closely like we should.
Sometimes we say, I'll feel better when I've got a better relationship. I'll feel better when I've got that car, when I've got that job. I'll feel better if I buy that pair of boots. That'll make me feel really good. But these are all outside stuff. So they're only going to be there they're short-lived. We chose this body. We chose this soul. We chose to work on certain contracts. I think we owe it to ourselves just to spend a couple of hours to get into that mindset, so that we can connect, to find out exactly what our contract was. Because it's like one woman, she had 5 husbands in this life, and all divorced. And I did ask her, I said, what's the connection with all these relationships? And she said, well, I was so busy. I had relationships with all of these because I was learning about love, betrayal, etc. This was one of her challenges. And I got so fed up of working over these, hundreds of years, that I decided to go and blow them all out and cut the contracts all in one go. But as she transcended from that life and went into her soul group, she was on her sofa. I was at her house, and she began to swear. She began to shout, "What the hell is he doing there? Get him out of my group. I don't want him there." And I'm like, because I don't know where she is in here. I'm just facilitating. Transpires that one of her ex-husbands, the one that is attached to her, is in her group. What the hell are you doing there? She says, he's here. And I said, Bill, before we ask him to leave, I want you to ask him why he's there. And she said, we all have these groups, like our family groups. We all have these groups where we work. We could work on sound, geographic paths, grids, Reiki, healing, color, whatever. And she says, and I decided to do all of this work on emotion all in one go and just get rid of all these challenges that I've been having over these years. And he's actually in my group, and he does my soul group, and he said, you know what? If you're going down to do all of that, it's like going on stage to perform. If you're going to perform all of that, that is going to be exhausting. That is going to be awful. Let other people do this, this, and this, but this one is such a hard lesson. Please let me come down with you and let me be that person, because at least it will be coming from love.
Yeah.
Now, it kind of turns it on its head when you think of it like that. And so she had a better of an understanding, although she did say, I do understand more, but I still hate the guy.
Well,
But
at least
it
not
kind
a
of
good understanding.
you just see things from a different perspective. You know, what you thought was a fear actually turns out to be love and things like that.
Yeah, really deep. So now, Jane, with the time, I want to make sure, because usually with my guests, I at least give you 30 seconds to kind of do some lasting thoughts that you want to give the audience. But I want to take myself down. I'll be right back, and you just give those lasting thoughts to the audience.
What I want to say to you is that whatever it is that you're looking for, all I want you to do is I want you to concentrate on asking yourself to bring forward the answers that you're looking for. And you'll find these come in your dreams, or by coincidences. You might be driving and you'll see a sign and a sign and a sign, and somebody will say it. Everything that you actually need is within you. All you need to do is you need to tap into all the information, all the records that you have. So what I want you to do next time is just to take a little time for yourself and just ask yourself within, and take the time to explore your own journey, and know that you can come back out of that at any time. You might go into a meditation, you might just close your eyes and see a few images. Nothing lasts forever, you can come straight out. But what you will do is you'll find answers, or be signpost where to go. So I'm going to ask you now to take a couple of minutes every day just to ask yourself, am I on the right track? Yeah.
Amazing, Jane. Thank you so much, lady, for coming on the show and really just taking us through what you do to help others, and let us really understand about, how past lives are really, energy to help you in different areas of what you're going through right now in this life.
Well, it's not me that actually does the work. I just know how to facilitate.
You're basically helping them through the journey. You're helping them through.
It's a bit like you. I'm just a pathfinder to help other people, signpost people.
See, you need us. I just tell people in the world, you need us to kind of just guide us, to help you maneuver.
Yeah.
So that's a wonderful thing, because you see through the whole thing out I know you're seeing this all the time. You're seeing the results of it. That's really, enlightening for them. So thank you for doing that, because it's really strong. That's creating that impact. Like I said, you're expanding the impact for others by doing that. So,
and I can do this via Zoom. I can be anywhere.
Yeah.
It can be global. I just don't have to be with somebody. You'll see on the videos that I'm with somebody. And you'll see on some of the videos where I'm just filming my laptop, because they might be in Australia. They're all over the globe.
And then it's wonderful, because what's going on right now, Zoom is, I tell people that's a gold mine for us, because we can reach people throughout the world. The world. So just want to let everybody know they can reach you. I put your website down there. Is there any other context that you would like to tell the audience before we sign off?
No, I'm finished now. We've really
enjoyed with the okay. So I just want to make sure if there was any other context. So yeah, you can reach.
Oh, my contacts. My YouTube channel. It's just Jane Osborne Past Life Regression. You'll see a little picture, a circle of me. Just click on that. Click on videos, and you'll see me working. and you'll see all I do is ask a question, and it's the client that does all the talking.
And just make sure. I always tell people, I'm talking to the audience now. You know, now that you know, we spent time with this wonderful queen, this lady, and what she does, and she helps you maneuver. Reach out to her. I put her website below. You know, you can also see it on YouTube. And I love the YouTube. I always tell people I love people when they have YouTube channels, because you can kind of see more of what the person does and see if that will help either you, or you might know somebody else that it might help. I always tell people, just don't cue it out because it might be something that you might think you might not need. You never know what another person might need.
And I'm happy to answer any questions. You know, don't think this is not a hard sell therapy. It's not like a crystal. If you buy a crystal you don't like, you can probably clean it, wrap it up, and give it someone for their birthday. But for a regression, you've got to want to do it.
Yeah.
So if you've got any questions, you know, just drop me a line. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, Jane is there for you to answer any questions. So thank you again, Jane, for coming on the show. I appreciate you so much, and I wish you so much. And, you know, eventually, if there's anything else that you're doing in the near future that you want to come on and talk about so people can get, so you get the more visibility, please let me know. That's what I'm here for.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Take care, everybody. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.